Better tech tips now. Do you need help setting up all those tech gifts you may have gotten for the holidays? Well, here with us today is Stan Prager with GoGeeks. Stan, you're usually Dr. Doom, but today you're going to be Mr. Fix-It, Mr. Helper.
I'm going to try to put a positive spin on it.
All
right. So
Good luck.
A lot of people get these, and it's not always positive, these gifts they get. A lot of people get some great stuff for Christmas.
Sure.
But actually getting it to work, some of this tech stuff, is really, really difficult sometimes.
Some installation required is my favorite.
Well, they often say, it's even worse, they often say, easy to install.
That should be the first warning.
And we know that it's not easy to install.
Not always, no.
So basically, what you want to do is you want to keep in mind that some things really you shouldn't even bother trying to install. Like if you're not geeky, if you've received a new router or a wireless extender, honestly, you're better off having somebody do it. You know?
Okay.
At GoGeeks, people call us all the time to do these installs, but often they do it after they've spent 4 hours on the phone and they're all aggravated, and there's like a half a bottle of whiskey that's empty on the counter next to it. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, it's like me with a plumber. First I try and fix it and end up screwing it up more than it was originally.
It's a great metaphor, and I often say to people that I grew up with a lot of guys who are handy with cars, and so for them to put new brake pads on is no big deal.
Piece of cake, right?
For me, you know, you'd find my body under the vehicle. I mean, I just, you know, it's not my milieu, so I don't touch it. So I think you reach a certain age, just say, you know, I don't want to touch it. There's a lot of things you can install. The biggest challenge for a lot of people with tech is that they don't know their Wi-Fi password at home, and almost everything requires that. Right. So hopefully you know your Wi-Fi password. If you don't, it's often on your router, or if you have a little
ours is on the bottom of our router.
Yes, unless someone's changed it. Yes, that's normally where it would be. Hopefully you know what that is, or you can find it.
That's the first step if you get any type of device that requires Wi-Fi or internet connectivity, right? You have to get onto your own internet.
Exactly, and so a lot of kids' toys now are smart toys, and they require connecting it. If you want that Barbie to be able to, you know, say hi to your kid and stuff, it needs to be on the web. So that's the kind of thing you want to look into. But that's the most important thing, is knowing your Wi-Fi password, knowing what your level of expertise is, and being able to say, hey, let's get a professional in here to do it. And then there's a lot of stuff that falls in the in-between realm. A big one is printers. Wireless printers are supposed to be easy to install.
I already know my limitations. They drive me crazy.
Well,
I can never get my printer to work.
Exactly. So in generally, for most people, you're better off paying and having a professional install it. It's not that expensive. It'll be done correctly. Router particularly, because with a router, it may not be secured properly if you do it yourself. And you may end up with a Wi-Fi password that's this long, you know, which is not going to be easy for you to work with, or your family. And your family members will hate you because you have a 24-digit Wi-Fi password. But so that's important. The other thing is, don't fall into the trap of Googling the manufacturer and calling an 800 number.
That was my next question. Should we Google help? But not always, because you may not get a legitimate answer that comes up on Google.
90% of the first 10 things that are going to come up are people who are criminals with a quasi-legitimate business who claim to be vendors, you know, support. And some of them are vendor support, but some of them are also criminals. So,
and why take the chance?
The problem is there's a really good possibility that you're going to get robbed, and they're going to, like, you know, log into your computer and potentially put malware on there. Look on the instructions. If you want to call the manufacturer, if you want to put yourself through that, and you think you have the strength, only call the number that's on the instruction booklet.
It requires patience, because generally you're put on hold for several hours.
Exactly, but there will be a contact us sheet.
And you know it's legitimate.
And you know it's legit. Or you can go to the manufacturer's website. They should have contact. If it's an HP printer, for instance, if you go to hp.com. But don't type help for HP printer, because then you're going to get something else. So that's the key.
Too much of a generic search.
If all else fails, or you just don't want to go through the aggravation, have somebody do it. If we do it, or other professionals do it, they're going to do it right. And you're not going to have to worry. And when they leave, it'll work. When your wife hits print, the picture will come out.
It can never find the driver for my printer.
Well, that's the problem. I mean, it's not easy to do, honestly. And they would never be able to sell these items, especially in a mass way for a holiday, if they didn't say easy to install. Anyone can install it. So a lot of people feel
the old rope-a-dope.
A lot of people feel like, God, it must be so stupid because it says easy to install, but honestly, they're lying. It's not easy to install if you don't know what you're doing.
That's good to hear from a professional. And when in doubt, contact a professional, someone you know locally, like GoGeeks of East Long Meadow.
That's correct, because we will do it correctly. It's not that expensive, and you know, there's peace of mind, and you haven't spent 4 hours on the telephone.
Stan, thanks. You may be getting a call from me.
Happy New Year.
Soon. Happy New Year to you as well.